guys, it's Nicole, Roads to Results Resource, coming at you with a continuation on our discussion about elite teams. How do we create them? How do we inspire them? What does it take to be an elite team? And today we're going to talk about excellence. Excellence is our signature. It's what we are putting out to the world. This is who I am. This is what my product is. This is what my service, my offering. This is what I am offering to you. And so if this is our signature, it better be good. It better be outstanding. And so I am reminded, because sometimes we say, oh, it's so hard. The what I'm working on, it's so complex. It's really hard to be great. Steve Jobs says that you cannot fight complexity, but you can focus on simplicity. And if we think about our phones, there is more technology in our phones today than President Clinton had available to him during his time as president. Think about that. He ran a country with less technology than what we have on our phones today. And our phones are so amazingly easy to use. And so if you think that in your world you can't focus on excellence and simplicity, then you may want to think about it again. But really what excellence to me is, it's about innovation, and it's about always moving the needle further and further, setting those standards higher and higher and higher every single time, and doing it through a concept that Tony Robbins calls constant and never-ending improvement. And so coming from a technology background and using Agile, we used to do retrospectives. So at the end of every iteration or every project, we would take a look back, and you could do it over time periods or whatever, but we would take a look back and say, okay, what went well? And this is super important because you really have to identify where the successes were and not take them for granted. So if there was outstanding communication, talk about it. And talk about what kind of communication there was that made it outstanding, because otherwise you're going to wind up taking it for granted. And then as time goes on, you're not going to keep doing that because you're not recognizing that it played a part in the success. And then once you celebrate your successes, then you focus on how can we be even better? What can we do to move the needle even further? And it could be something minor. It could be I remember in one case, there were two separate teams, a development team and a testing team. They literally set a row apart, and there was a breakdown in the handoff. So the testing team didn't know when the developers were done because they didn't get up and talk to each other. But once that came out in one of the retrospectives, productivity went through the roof. And I know that sounds absurd, but without taking the time to talk about it and bring transparency and communication and openness to it, it would probably still be like that today. And so I want to encourage you as leaders to inspire that openness and that transparency. Make sure that your team knows, especially if you're pushing for innovation, make sure that your team knows that there's no such thing as failure. And what I mean by that is, as long as there's some growth and some learning, and it's not just pushed aside, then there's no such thing as failure, and we just keep continuing to move the needle. So I hope this helps improve your level of outstanding and your level of excellence, and we'll talk again soon.